In this episode, we're going to look at the tragic life of one of the most iconic fashion designers of all time, Gianni Versace. Gianni was not just an iconic fashion designer. His designs was both daring and bold, so much so that he was beloved by celebrities and fashion enthusiasts alike. However, on July 15, 1997, everything changed. Gianni Versace was shot dead outside his Miami Beach mansion by a man named Andrew Cunanan. But who was Andrew Cunanan? He wasn't a household name like Gianni Versace, but his name had become infamous in the weeks leading up to the murder. Andrew was a serial killer who had already claimed 4 victims before he gunned down Versace. He was a man with a troubled past who had always craved attention and recognition, and it seemed that the only way he could achieve that was through violence and murder. Andrew was born on August 31 in 1969 in California. He grew up in a middle-class family, but his childhood was marked by dysfunction and instability. His father was said to be abusive, and his mother was often absent, leaving Andrew to fend for himself. Despite these challenges, Andrew was a bright and talented young man. He attended prestigious schools and showed an early interest in the arts, particularly in writing and literature. But as he got older, his behavior became increasingly erratic and troubling. Andrew struggled with his sexuality and his identity, and he had a tendency towards grandiosity and manipulation. He would often tell elaborate lies about his background and accomplishments, and he had a habit of ingratiating himself with wealthy and influential people. His mental health also began to decline, and he started exhibiting signs of bipolar disorder and psychosis. He became increasingly paranoid and delusional, and he would often have violent outbursts. Despite all of this, Andrew remained a charismatic and charming figure, and he was able to maintain a veneer of respectability for many years. But in 1997, his life took a dark turn. Over the course of several months, Andrew went on a killing spree that left 5 people dead, including Gianni Versace. The motives behind his murders remain unclear, but it is believed that he was driven by a combination of jealousy, revenge, and a desire for attention. The events leading up to the murder of Gianni Versace are a tragic tale of violence and loss. Andrew had already claimed 4 victims in the month prior to the murder, including a wealthy Chicago real estate developer, a New Jersey cemetery caretaker, and 2 other men in Minneapolis. Andrew seemed to be on a killing spree, and law enforcement officials were struggling to track him down before he could strike again. Andrew's spree of violence had started several months earlier in April 1997 when he killed Jeffrey Trail, a former Navy officer who had been a friend of Andrew's. Trail's body was found in the apartment of David Madsen, another of Andrew's friends. Madsen was also found dead several days later in a remote area of Minnesota. Andrew was believed to be responsible for both murders. Andrew's next victim was Lee Miglin, a wealthy real estate developer in Chicago. Miglin's body was found in his garage, and it was clear that he had been brutally beaten and stabbed. Andrew had apparently chosen Miglin as his next victim because he was wealthy and successful. The final victim before Gianni Versace was William Reese, a caretaker at a cemetery in New Jersey. Reese had been shot and killed, and his truck had been stolen by Andrew. It was the theft of the truck that ultimately led to Andrew's downfall. Andrew Cunanan and Gianni Versace did not have a prior relationship before the murder. In fact, they had never even met before the day of the shooting. On the morning of July 15, 1997, Andrew spotted Versace outside his mansion and approached him, shooting him twice in the back of the head before fleeing the scene. The murder shocked the world and set off a massive manhunt for Cunanan. While on the run, he used a pickup truck he stole from Race in New Jersey and traveled to Minnesota. There, he broke into a house in the town of Madelia, Minnesota, and held the owner hostage for 2 days before eventually fleeing the scene. But during his time in the house, he left behind evidence, including a driver's license and a pawn shop receipt that allowed law enforcement to track him down. On July 23, 1997, police tracked Andrew to a houseboat in Miami Beach, where he had barricaded himself inside. After a tense standoff, Andrew was found dead, having apparently taken his own life. The story of Andrew Cunanan and Gianni Versace is a tragic one. It is a story of a man consumed by jealousy and violence, and a man who brought joy and beauty into the world through his fashion designs. It is a story of loss and pain, of a world robbed of a brilliant mind and a creative force. But it is also a story of resilience and hope, of a world that refuses to be broken by the actions of a single man. The legacy of Gianni Versace lives on, and his impact on the fashion world can still be felt today. His designs and influence continue to inspire and shape the industry, and his name remains synonymous with glamour and luxury. In the years since the murder, Andrew Cunanan has become something of a cultural figure, with numerous books, documentaries, and even a television series exploring his life and crimes. But his legacy remains one of tragedy and violence, a reminder of the destructive power of hate and obsession. As for Gianni Versace, his memory continues to live on. His fashion house remains a force in the industry, with his sister Donatella Versace taking over as creative director after his death. His designs continue to inspire and influence new generations of designers, and his impact on the fashion world remains as strong as ever. But beyond his legacy in fashion, Gianni Versace would always be remembered as a kind and generous man who brought joy into the hearts of many through his designs and his work. His legacy would forever live on. Until next time, humans, continue to stay safe out there.